The gavel hit the wooden bench like a gunshot, echoing through the tense courtroom as silence fell over the people watching. It was not a criminal sentencing, but it felt like one. Amara, just 17, stood beside her trembling mother with tears streaking her round, flushed cheeks. Her crime? Obesity. Her shame? Being the disgrace of a powerful family obsessed with image, perfection, and public opinion. When a school scandal erupted over cruel comments about her weight and her refusal to attend the fitness correctional school her family had paid for, her father, one of the most influential businessmen in the region, had arranged what he called a lesson in humility. Amara was to be sent away from the city and given to a poor farmer as part of a symbolic punishment for bringing dishonor to the family name. That farmer, they believed, had little more than dirt and dust in his pockets. What none of them knew was that he owned thousands of acres. Before we dive deeper into this emotional journey of strength, healing, and redemption, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Rappel of Hope if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen stories that can change hearts. The truck that drove Amara away from the city rattled with every bump, the sun setting behind them in golden streaks of fading fire. She sat alone in the back seat, her school uniform rumpled, suitcase clutched to her chest like a shield. Her hands trembled with embarrassment, rage, and sorrow. The last words from her father still echoed in her head, "Let this be a lesson. Until you learn your place, you are no daughter of mine." Her mother hadn't even fought back. In their world of power and appearance, Amara's body was treated like a crime, her voice like an offense. The village they reached just before nightfall was a vast contrast to the towering skyline of her childhood. Dust rose like ghosts in the headlights as the truck rolled to a stop in front of a small house. Not broken, not grand, just quiet and worn. A man emerged from the doorway, tall, sun-darkened, with hands that looked like they'd moved mountains and eyes that didn't flicker with judgment. This was Ibrahim. To everyone else, he was just the poor farmer who took in discarded things. But behind his quiet eyes and humble home lay acres and acres of rich farmland, oil wells, and stories no city paper had ever written. The beginning was painful. Amara refused to speak much. She ate alone. She avoided the villagers who stared and whispered. Children laughed behind her back. The clothes she had brought didn't fit the rough life here. She missed her warm bed, her books, her quiet music. But what hurt most was the silence from her family. Days passed with no message. Not even her mother. Ibrahim never pressured her. He simply made space for her, fed her, gave her chores if she wanted them, and let her heal in her own time. He never once commented on her weight. He never treated her like she was something broken. Instead, he gave her books to read at night, let her rest when she was tired, and occasionally, told stories about the land, how it had seen war, drought, flood, and still gave life. Then one morning, something inside Amara cracked open. It was a simple thing, a loaf of bread. She had watched Ibrahim make it every morning before sunrise. This time, she asked to help. He nodded. The smell of flour, yeast, and fire wrapped around her like a hug. She smiled, a real smile, for the first time in weeks. The villagers noticed her change. A few women began to invite her to help at the local clinic. One even gave her a dress. It fit. Not because she had changed, but because someone finally saw her as she was, not as she failed to be. Weeks turned into months. Amara began to walk every morning around the fields. Not to lose weight, not to impress anyone, but because the sunrises over those endless golden acres made her feel free. Ibrahim showed her how to plant seeds. She learned how to carry buckets, how to fix fences, how to sit still and listen to the wind. Slowly, her body grew stronger, not thinner, but more alive. Her spirit healed, not because someone fixed her, but because no one tried to. One day, when a dusty businessman came to speak with Ibrahim about an oil deal, Amara overheard something that made her jaw drop. This poor farmer owned not only the land they stood on but thousands of acres across 3 provinces. He had deliberately stayed out of the spotlight, using his wealth to quietly support the village, the school, and even the city children's hospital, where Amara once had her appendix removed as a child. When she asked him why he never told anyone, his answer was simple: true wealth isn't something you wear. It's something you grow. Her family, meanwhile, had all but forgotten her, or so she thought. But back in the city, a storm was brewing. Her father's company was under investigation for fraud. Her brothers had fled. And her mother, now a woman stripped of the luxuries she clung to, showed up at Ibrahim's door one cold evening, looking thin, scared, and empty. She came not to take Amara home but to ask for shelter. It was Amara who made the decision. She let her mother stay. But this time, she didn't shrink in her presence. She stood tall. She served the bread she had learned to make. She showed her mother the land she now loved, the strength she had built, the life she had created. Her mother wept, not because of the fall from wealth, but because for the first time, she saw her daughter. Not the weight. Not the shame. Just Amara. By the end of that year, the village celebrated a new school opening, funded anonymously. Amara knew who was behind it. She stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, wearing the same dress the villager had gifted her, her hair tied back, her hands calloused but warm. Ibrahim stood beside her, proud. Not as a savior, but as someone who had given her space to become herself.